Rockstars, Eric Andres, your guitar sage here for part one of how to speed up, clean up your chord changes without compromising the clarity of your chords. Now, who is this for? This is for folks that you know your chords, you can play them cleanly already, okay? This isn't for folks that can't play your chords cleanly. It's for folks that can play their chords cleanly by themselves. But when you're switching from one chord to the next, you're getting buzzing and mutes, okay? Buzzing and or mutes. Or it's for someone who can change their chords and they're doing it cleanly, but they can't do it on time, meaning they're ending up at the chord later than the chord actually starts, and that's a weird sound and no one likes that. So, or if you are someone who wants to have crystal clear sounding chords with no buzzes and no mutes, okay? That's who this is for. Okay, my friends, and today what we're going to be doing, we're going to be breaking this down into 4 parts, okay? And the first part is probably the most important part. They're all integral, but the most important part. And now, none of this works unless you do what I say. And I emphasize that because I have a lot of students, I'll tell them something and then they don't do it. Then I'll say, well, try this, and then they don't do it, and then I say, try this, and once they do it, they get it. But it was all this not listening that got them to not do it. All right, so it's really important that you apply this. If you're just listening to it and not applying, it's not going to help, obviously, but it's not so obvious because I see people do it all the time. So with all that being said, the most important part of this is to take 2 chords, and 2 chords only. Okay? Taking 2 chords and 2 chords only. I don't care if the song has 19 chords in it. It doesn't, but if it did, I just want you to take 2 chords. And this is why. What we need is we need our brain to really focus, to hyperfocus. The way to get really good at a particular something is to hyperfocus on one particular task. This whole idea of multitasking, everybody's egos thinking they're so good at multitasking. Bull crap. They're not good at multitasking. What they've done is they've gotten really good at a particular something, and their conscious mind can do that while their subconscious mind can do that while their conscious mind can do something else. For instance, right now I'm arpeggiating a C chord right now while I'm talking to you. Well, my conscious mind is talking to you, and my subconscious mind is going back and forth between a C chord and an A minor chord. Okay, now that isn't multitasking. That, I mean, some people will call it that, but all this being said, don't think that multitasking is the best thing. It's not, especially if you're trying to get good at something. You need to focus. Let's get old school. Old school is important, all right? Old school. So what we're going to be talking about is just using 2 chords and 2 chords only. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because we're trying to build neural paths. If you are in the Unstoppable Guitar System, if you've taken advantage of my free course, the link for that is below. If you've done any of this, if you read any of my books, you know that I talk about psychology a lot and how that applies to the guitar. And so one of those things is building neural paths. So if we're going to trek across a wooded area, it might be more advantageous to do one part. Let's say we're trying to create a path for someone, a trail. It's important to do a short area instead of a long area, because that short area we can traverse and know it really well, and then we can keep growing that, okay? And this is essentially what we're going to be doing here. So let's say we're going back and forth between 2 chords. And the best way to build our habit is to just take those 2 chords and those 2 chords only. It's like wearing a place out in the carpet or walking across a meadow, the same exact place over and over again between 2 spots. You'll create a path and it'll be very easy. That's what our brain does, is it creates neural paths. But if we're doing 7 different chords, then we got a bunch of different lines. None of them are very defined. This way we're being very defined. So that's the why. Now that you know why, do it. Listen to me, I promise. So what you want to do is you want to take 2 chords, and you don't want to strum. You just want to consider those 2 chords. And what I was doing earlier was a C and an A minor. So just going back and forth between those 2 is going to be a lot more effective than say, going from the A minor to the D to the C to the G, and then trying a whole progression like that, okay? So this is what I want you to do. This is the takeaway from this. Let's say you have a song that has 4 chords. Let's say it's C, G, A minor, F. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 transitions there. There's the C to the G, okay? The G to the A minor, the A minor to the F, and the F back to the C, okay? Okay, C to the G, G to A minor to F, F to the G. Oh, F to the G. You know what I'm saying? So that's 4 different transitions for you to practice. You only want to practice 1 transition at a time. So that means 2 chords practicing back and forth. And you want to get really, really good at that 1 movement before you move on to another set of 2 chords, okay? Now, the cool thing about this is this, and I work with students all the time where they're like, gosh, this really takes a long time. The first time they're learning a song, say. And they'll say, gosh, this takes a long time. Does it take this long every time to learn a song? Well, of course not. For the same reason that when you're teaching a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old how to ride a bike, you don't have to teach all that same stuff to somebody who's been doing motocross for 20 years. You don't have to teach them about a ton of stuff because it's ingrained already. They've done the practice. So in the same way, even though in the beginning here it takes a little bit of time to work these transitions, what's going to happen is you're going to use them hundreds and thousands of times throughout your life playing guitar, because these chords are very common. The 9 essential chords that I talk about, that are in my free course, YourGuitarSage.com/30. The link for that's below. You know, in those, you know, knowing those chords and being able to transition between those all the time, you're going to use it a ton for thousands and thousands and thousands of tunes. I think I've got 800 something videos here on YouTube. Many of them are songs, and I'd say out of all those songs, let's say 600 of those songs are covers. Let's say 500 just to be safe. Let's say 500 are covers. I guarantee you that 450 of those use the 9 essential chords, and the other 50 I throw in an oddball chord every now and then that's similar to one of the other chords. So with all that being said, even though you're doing this motion a lot, it's going to be helpful a lot. So 2 chords only, my friends. And then in the next videos, I'm going to show you some other bits and pieces here. And when we put them all together, you're going to have some clean ass chords, and you're going to be able to transition between them all the time. It's going to be stellar. All right? Speaking of thumbs up, if you like this video, hit thumbs up. If you appreciate this, please, social media, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff, share and subscribe, of course. I would love to hear your feedback and comments. You can leave those below this video. I would love to check them out and hear what issues are you having with your chords. I would love to hear. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and all those good places. I would love to help you out there. Check me out for part 2 of this, and of course the link below for the free course. Get in there, as thousands have. It's free, so if you don't like it, I'll give you 100% of your money back. Okay? All right, my friends. Please, spay and neuter your animals. Be kind to one another. Don't trust the man, and practice your guitar. See ya.